Well, you would be going that way if you're not careful. Right, can I carry on? Jerry, you do have a fairly serious position in Parliament, believe it or not.
Yep.
Not only head of wearing ridiculous clothes, but you also look after the anti-smoking lobby.
Right. Ash.
For the government.
Well, not for the government, all parties. There's a lot of us very much anti-smoking because it's killing 150,000 people every year, 300 people every day. And what really annoyed me, and I hope they'll come back a little bit later on because we ought to have a really good go at them, the people who represent the tobacco industry are spending £130 million a year promoting death.
Okay, never mind about that for the moment. Let us ask ourselves why, in this democracy that we live in, where the majority of people in the country don't smoke, why is it that your government doesn't actually do anything about outlawing smoking?
But you see, we're moving in that direction. Firstly, no, just pay attention over there. Firstly, we've limited the amount that tobacco can be advertised in shops. I was the sponsor of the protection of children against tobacco legislation. We are cutting back in advertising, and I suspect very soon, one will be banning smoking in public places, and two will be banning tobacco advertising.
We'll talk more in a minute. Alan Carr. Alan, you actually are helping people stop smoking, aren't you?
I am, Mr.
How many people do you reckon you have stopped?
Oh, I couldn't compute it. But probably, personally, over 10,000. But I also do books and videos, and about 5 people a day. I didn't know it would be a count. Said to be the day I stopped with your...
In fact, a member of the band we're about to see.
2, I believe, is it? 2 of them.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Is it expensive? I mean, are you really using a little niche to make a lot of money?
We charge £95, and that is guaranteed if it doesn't work for the person to have this money back.
So, hang on, let me just get that right. So, £95, you guarantee to stop them smoking, otherwise they get the money back.
No, I guarantee, but if it doesn't work for them...
You'll give the money back.
The money back without argument, and then last year we had less than 2% of the people ask their money back.
Robin, you were a patient, weren't you, of Alan's?
I was, yes. I was 60 days 5 years ago until I attended Alan Carr's clinic.
I mean, I had a grandmother who used to smoke that many and lived into her mid-80s.
Well, we all have an uncle, Freddie, smoked 40 a day, lived to his 80, and never had a day's illness in his life. And we all sort of think this is our one-man piece of market research, conveniently ignoring the fact that he was probably a very strong man, a very lucky man, he'd probably still be alive today, him, a smoker, and also, of course, conveniently ignoring the hundreds of thousands of people who are cut down in their prime.
How much better do you feel?
I feel immeasurably better. In every way, I feel I can cope with stress better. I feel I can enjoy social occasions better. Quite apart from the health side, which is obvious.
Sex life okay?
Well, funnily enough, what you need is a good circulation. What you need is a good circulation to one's vital organs for that particular activity. And I'm glad to confirm
It lowers the sperm count.
Trust you to be smutty. I'm trying to do a programme with no smuttiness tonight, and you have to... Okay, go on.
All right.
And well, with regards to passive smoking, I currently run Alan Carr's Stop Smoking Clinic, and I must be one of the world's worst passive smokers because we do actually allow smokers to smoke during the clinic. So I'm constantly involved in sitting in a room with 8 smokers puffing away.
You don't want to have that happen to you anymore, obviously.
And, well, this is my decision. I wouldn't do anything else in my life now, but I do feel sorry for non-smokers in the workplace and in public places who do not have to suffer that.
Robin, thank you very much indeed. We're back, smoking more about talking more about smoking later. Let me remind you... No, you can do it later on. But remember the question and come back with it, okay? The smoking. And let's go back to Clive, who... I was talking to you before. Clive, you're from the Tobacco Advisory Council. Do you feel if smoking was banned in public, it would affect your business too much or not?
Well, it would obviously affect business to some extent, but I think what is more important is that it would affect the morale and the pleasure of something like 17 million people who choose to smoke in this country.
Well, okay, you say that. No. Do you think, though... Just 1 minute, I'll come to you, Alan. Let me just clear this up with Clive, because we don't want Clive to feel as if he's being got at. Clive, it is the majority of people in this country who don't smoke. All right?
And it's been the case since the early 60s.
Yeah.
Nothing
So
new about
don't
that.
you think if smoking was just confined to your own private home or places where smoking was permitted, that would be fine? Would you be happy with that?
No, I don't think I would be happy with it. I don't think vast hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people would be happy with it either.
But I don't also have to suffer
it's
other
a bully
people's
boy
smoking.
tactic, isn't it?
Alan, I mean, you were saying that...
I'd like to it applies to you as well. The government did a support, no choice to these people, something that was quite a rational choice about. It saves, 100 lives a year? Something that kills 2,000 UK citizens every week.
Just a minute, Clive, do you agree with that it does kill that many people?
Well, I love all the numbers. I mean, there's the MP talking about 150,000, a few weeks back it was 100,000, and a few weeks further back it was 50,000. I mean, where do all these numbers come from?
Let me put it more simply. Is smoking dangerous?
Well, you better ask the doctor.
No. I want to ask the Tobacco Advisory Council, is smoking dangerous?
Well, let me put it this way. 11 million...
Sorry, Clive, it's either yes or no. Is smoking dangerous?
That's an impossible question to answer because you've got 11 million people. I'm sure Alan Carr. Just a moment.
Absolutely, and a tobacco manufacturer should make this clear at every step along the way. The way to address this problem is not prohibition, it is not censorship either. Okay. It is not the method by which if you ban advertising, they'll find another way to get their message through.
Alan,
if you ban smoking,
honest man,
if you ban smoking,
but this is all a red herring. The point is, they say people choose to smoke. There's not a smoker alive that when they had that first cigarette said, I'm going to smoke the rest of my life. It's drug addiction. Why does the government allow it not to be legal? Make £5 billion. Allow money. Why do the media keep giving these people free television time?
Hold on, please, Jerry. He's sitting next to you. He's an MP. He's of the governing body, if you like. They're not doing anything about it.
No, that's not true, because
yes, it's true.
At the beginning of the show, all the things that we're actually doing. But I'm saying to Alan now, look, in Health as a Nation, which is a major primary healthcare document, just a moment, we've set a target to actually reduce... No, it's terribly important because we do live in a free society.
All politicians talk about doing this, they never actually do anything.
You know that
you do it.
Pass legislation.
Why don't you
we
do it?
will be doing it.
Listen.
Or it is free legal advice.
Mr. Tory taxman.
Yeah,
The reality is that your government gets a fortune.
It was true.
Your government gets...
Wales Ravena.
You listen. You never listen. But you're a Tory, I understand. This government gets a fortune in taxation. Let me finish. A fortune in taxation from smokers. You have yet to find a way to tax cannabis, so therefore you render cannabis illegal. Now this gentleman, excuse me. This gentleman here. One moment. This gentleman here doesn't represent cannabis, and nor do I.
Gary, just one moment. I want to come to Marjorie, because Marjorie's been very quiet in this. Now, I just want to get this in my mind, Marjorie, because last time I interviewed a guy, your boss, in fact. He was very sort of up about freedom of liberty and everything else. But you said something earlier which was interesting, and that was that you would be quite happy for places to say outside, this is a place where you don't smoke. So if you're a smoker, don't go in there. You're quite happy for that.
It's up to the businessman who's running whatever establishment. What I am totally opposed to would be legislation forcing him to make it illegal to smoke on his premises. After all, if you run a restaurant, then you know what your clientele is, the type of person you want to attract in. And it should be your choice. You own the property. You should decide what service is offered.
So what you're saying is that if a place wants to have people who are smoking in, that's fine. And if somebody doesn't like smoking, they should go and find somewhere elsewhere. But we are the majority. In a free society,
and the market is already changing. You're seeing an increasing number of non-smoking establishments coming into being. And that is because the proprietors believe that they will make more money by offering that type of facility. You should let the market decide. The government has no right telling somebody how they should run their business and what services they should offer.
But of course,
entirely up to them.
The government do nothing other than tell people what they should do.
It's about time they got the hell off people.
Well, what do you want? Total anarchy? I don't want... Listen, just quiet a minute. I don't want people smoking near me, and I'm in the majority. I don't want to get out of a train, or out of a club, or out of a bar, smelling of other people's smoke. I don't mind if you use heroin, cocaine, whether you...
The majority will look after the minority, and it will allow for its pleasures. That's one point. And the point still stands on prohibition and the banning of smoking.
I wouldn't want to see smoking banned. I just want to see it stopped in public places. Do it in the privacy of your own home.
How do you define a public place? Because on a legal basis, a public place can be a place that is owned in public, such as a park. Now, what is being stretched is that a public place is now meaning a private place. A restaurant, in law, is a privately owned place.
So, but if that restaurant wants to say this restaurant admits smokers, that's fine. Then you don't go in and you don't find it. Would you agree with this, or would you totally want to stop smoking altogether?
As an ex-smoker, I hate the smell of smoke, but we're talking about it.
You'd be broke if nobody smoked, though, wouldn't you? Let's face it, you'd have no...
It's actually in his interest.
I wouldn't, but the trouble is, bans don't help people to stop, and I want to see smokers relieved from the prison of being smokers. The more you bully them, and why do you, James, keep giving these people free advertising to peddle their wealth?
Well,
Just give me half an hour, I'll cure the London smoke.
Well, there's only... None of those want to be cured. Let me go down over here to Robin. OK, Robin, you have been cured from smoking. How do you feel about this argument?
Well, I'd like to address the issue of freedom, which Boris, the Tobacco Advisory Council, and Death keep saying. It's the freedom of the individual. The fact is that the freedom to smoke is an illusion. Of the 14 million smokers in the UK, 9 million of them actually say that they would rather be non-smokers. The other 5 million simply won't admit that they'd rather be non-smokers. If smokers were free to choose, they would rather be non-smokers.